Hello and welcome back to my channel, Jonny Gios Photography, and doing a little bit of a different video today. And I've been asked by Dehancer, which is a plugin for Lightroom, to just review it essentially. So I thought I'd choose one of my images and maybe two or three images to just go through and show you some of the presets and some of the features that Dehancer has that can link into Lightroom and can give you a bit of a, shall we say, vintage look. So back in the day when digital cameras weren't digital and they were on 35mm film and you only had 24 or 36 exposures, you could go off and take those pictures and then process them in the darkroom and get those kind of vintage looks. And depending on which paper you use, whether it's Kodak, whether it's Fujifilm or Ilford, sometimes you'd look on the shelf and think, oh, I quite like some Ilford, quite expensive, but then you get a certain different type of look when you process those through your film and for your negatives in the darkroom. So that was back in the day, and now what they've done is brought some of those features, some of those looks that people used to get, because it's all the rage now to get film cameras, and that's on an upward trend. And so I thought I'd just dive into it now and show you some of the features of Dehancer, which is the new Lightroom plugin. So let's get into it. So here we have a picture of Brooklyn Bridge in New York. Now, I didn't really want to try this plugin with any wildlife or landscape shots particularly. I thought it would actually work best with looking at some street photography. So first of all, what I'm going to do is just quickly show you once you've installed plugin Dehancer, you go to plugin manager and you just make sure that it's enabled, but also that it's pointing to the right direction. So you might have some other plugins for Lightroom. So if I right click and go down to edit in, so I've got Topaz Denoise, Topaz AI, and at the moment it's pointing to Dehancer. So if I go to edit in Dehancer, Dehancer's the one of choice really, even though I've got the others installed. So if I go to, if I can remember, if you go to preferences, this should come up. And just a note to say that I'm using a Mac Studio M1 Ultra with 64GB of RAM. I've not upgraded to the M3 Ultra or the M4 Max, because when I looked at some of the stats and some of the findings that some YouTubers had done, it was marginal gains. It was talking about seconds and minutes rather than leaps and bounds. So I've not upgraded as yet. I'm waiting for the next generation. So when we go to presets, it should. If we go into external editing, in preferences, you'll come down to this preset here and just make sure Dehancer is ticked, not Topaz Noise or Topaz Photo. Make sure Dehancer is checked and the file format is TIFF. So once all that is installed and set, then when you right click on your photograph, it should go straight into Dehancer. Before we take it into Dehancer, what we are going to do is just level this up, and there's nothing more than I can't stand is when photographers don't level up and make sure that the photograph is level or thereabouts. And we'll just get that in the center there. Press return, and that's now ready to go into Dehancer. So we right click and we go edit in Dehancer, and we'll do it with edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. So press edit. That will then load up Dehancer. So what we have here at the bottom, we've got a histogram, which is really useful to show you your different colours, and also you your highlights and your shadows. And on here on the top left, you've got all different types of films. You've got your favourites, which I just favorited one, which I thought was quite nice. I should go back to that in a moment. But colour negatives, motion picture, colour positive, black and white, instant, so you know, kind of your Polaroids, exotic, cross. So we'll just go down to favourites, and this is one that I quite particularly like. And then you go into your colour ones, and literally it gives you these presets of the different coloured paper and filters, which you can then, once selected, and you can see that the darks are quite dark because it's blue, and if it's peaking and highlights it, then it's going red. And you can just go through these, some great filters here. And once you've got your filter selected, on this right hand side of your panel, you can then tweak it on film developer and film compression. So you can tweak the white point and the black point, total range, and you can see your graph at the bottom moving. You can also say which colour paper, or which type of paper that you're going to be using as well to print out, if you are printing out. I don't tend to do a lot of printing at all, unless it's for clients and also when I'm doing sales. If you press top right here, it'll show you what the original picture looked like, and if you the graph here, that will turn off and toggle off your histogram, and also your zebra up there, that will show you your highlights and shadows as well in blue and red respectively. So motion picture, go through Fuji, Kodak. There's various different profiles, colour positive, and it depends what look you're going for. That's quite a nice look. Kodak Kodachrome Experiential 64, just to kind of give that rustic. It's a bit more, that's quite grainy, so you might want to denoise that later. Or is there a setting? I don't think there's a setting to denoise that as much. You can do that afterwards. But it depends. Like a lot of that graininess would probably come through anyway in a 35mm film 25 years ago, and yeah. So you got the skyline of Manhattan with the Brooklyn Bridge. Quite nice, with the people coming and going and people taking photographs, and you've got this lamp here. So you know, it potentially could be, apart from these modern cameras and these modern buildings, you could like kind of date it so it looks like it's been taken rather than 2019, a lot older than that. So colour positive, you've got black and white, various different looks, some sepia ones there. And again, you can change and tilt all the compensation and the contrast and the gamma all on the right hand side. And you can toggle off the kind of profile for which sort of paper you're going to print on, so you can turn that off and on. And we've got the instant kind of look. Again, it really does make them look very vintage. And you can pull and push the exposure, and you can see your graph, the histogram at the bottom, moving back and forth as I move it. And an exotic, various different profiles there, and then cross. That's quite a nice one. This would be quite a nice. So let's backtrack a bit. When I'm taking a photograph, I'm always thinking, what could that potentially use for, apart from just hanging it in someone's living room? So this would be quite nice as maybe like a double page spread in a magazine, talking about New York, so you could have your title across the top here, and then you could also have boxes down here to maybe mention some other stuff, and boxes here, and maybe it's talking about, you know, it's a traveller magazine. So and actually this look is quite nice. So, and it's also quite symmetrical with the line taking the centre of the picture. So so this Dehancer built into Lightroom just gives you that extra option in terms of not just the plugins that you've got for Lightroom, but some of the vintage stuff as well that you could flip between the presets that you can get for Lightroom, but also Dehancer as a program within itself. And you can undo the things that you do by going back, and then you can reset all the defaults as well. So go back to the original picture, and you can go back by one, and also you can show the settings as well. It shows here that I'm using an Apple M1 Ultra, and then this just toggles off your side bits, but you can favourite each one of them if you've got a particular colour. So we'll just work through now, and I've not had a huge amount of time to play with this, so I'm actually doing it really live, really, with you all. Try and find something that kind of that fits really for this New York stuff, and then I'm just going to have a look at some of my London pictures that I've taken a couple of years ago and see if we can get nice vintage look looking at. Oh, that's quite nice. See, I quite like that without the grain, so I'll favourite that. So that's AGFA Chrome RSX2 200 2006. So we'll stay with that. That's quite nice. And then what you do then is you press OK. We don't really mess around with any of this stuff really, but what I would like to do is press OK. This will come back into Lightroom as a TIFF. And with this now, I would just probably put on some vignette, some very, very subtle vignette, and possibly move the contrast a little bit and give it some more black. So okay, that's quite cool. I quite like that. I'll probably export that while I remember. So export. Don't want it as a high JPEG, so I'll resize that for social media, put a bit of sharpen on, and export that while I remember. Go to my library, come up to shots of London, when I can find shots of London, 256 in my catalogue. So this is the famous shots of St. Paul's. Let's go one of these. Let's go for that one. Right, so this is the famous letterbox outside St. Paul's, and you get light trails. I'll right click, edit in, Dehancer. Yes, we want it with Lightroom adjustments, so it makes a copy. And that now goes into Dehancer. Oh, looks quite green this side. So we'll go through some of the different colour negatives. So let's just see what it looks like, black and white. No, black and white doesn't work for this picture. Colour positive. That's some nice reds and blues in that come out. Too green. Fuji Chrome. That's quite matte. That's quite dark. But yeah, as I say, you can tweak it. You come onto this side to the tint. You can boost it, just as you can do in Lightroom. In Film Developer, we can correct the gamma and the colour separation And the colour boost, that's just too much vibrancy there. And basically these are all very similar to Lightroom but called different things. Again, the white point. So that's quite nice. You could go for something with a different profile, so like a Kodak. Here we go. And we can pull and push this, makes it a bit brighter. But the Fuji Chroma Provia 100, it's quite nice. So we'll stick to that. I favourite that. That's quite nice. Okay. And then I always put that in blue and also flag it, and we'll export that. And then we'll go to some Manchester photographs and see if we can get a photograph from Manchester and put it through Dehancer. Just find a, apologies, I've not got these. Side out. Well, let's do this one. This one was done just the other week. Yeah, it was 1st of March. So this is at Manchester Central, where as the tram is passing, and this is the Manchester Central car park. So we'll do this one. Right click, edit in Dehancer. Yes, we want to make Lightroom adjustments and a copy. See, we've got a few stars in this one, so this will go over to Dehancer now, and then we can have a play around with this. It looks quite blue, so let's see if we can adjust that and some presets that are going to make it a bit different, and probably not as, even though it is at night, probably not as dark. So you can press on all these and just motion picture. Well, motion picture is quite nice. That's quite nice, a bit more matte. Kodak Vision 200T, whatever that means. So we'll just try to touch this, adjust this slightly. A bit lighter. Contrast the other way. Yeah, that's quite nice. The only thing I would say about this photograph is that this light down here reflects onto this handrail, so we'll probably need to clone that out. But other than that, once that's disappeared, that's good to go. So we'll favourite that as well. So that's the Kodak Vision 3. So there's stacks and stacks of different profiles, and that's going to come in a second when it decides to load in from Dehancer. There we go. So I would normally do this in Photoshop, because I think it's better cloner in Photoshop, but that's done a decent job. And you see just here there's some stars, which is pretty amazing really for a city full of lights, and to get these stars. So we'll just clone that out, whatever that is down there. I think it's a grid. So there we go. Something a bit different, and you can also then readjust the colours if you wanted to make it a bit more lose the blue. and you bump up the temperature, that's quite more balanced. So yeah, you can have a bit of a combination of different things between Lightroom and Dehancer to get the look that you're looking for. And yeah, so that's a bit of a review of Dehancer, a great little plugin for Lightroom, and another resource for you photographers shooting, and particularly maybe for those street photographers that want to kind of produce some different type of looks for your output, sharing to social media, and even printing them as well. As I say, I've not done landscapes, I've not done wildlife. I don't particularly feel that that's probably this Dehancer is probably fitted for those type of photographs, because I want to see the wildlife in their own in their environment and looking as real as possible to what I actually saw. And again, for the landscape stuff, I probably wouldn't tinker around too much in editing of my landscape stuff that I do. But something like this, it just creates something a little bit different, and a bit more kind of an urban feel about it. So that's Dehancer, and again, using Lightroom on the Mac Studio M1 Ultra and shooting on the Sony A7M5. And yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully this has been a useful video for you, thinking about whether you are going to go buy Dehancer. It's worth it. Have a try of it on their trial, and give it a go to bring your photographs that little bit extra difference and appeal for your followers and your audience. Take care. Bye for now.